athletes and the great time in Vancouver coming up.
Fabulous. And very quickly, I have to ask you, are you going to keep that torch? Are you going to purchase it when you're done with it?
I did not purchase it. I had to do that a couple of weeks ago. I didn't do it, and I'm kind of regretting it now, actually. So well, maybe down the road.
Regardless, you actually get to do it. So a lot of people, I'm sure, are envious of your position. So have fun tomorrow, Tim.
Thank you very much. Right. Will do.
Thank you. Lance, back to you.
Thanks very much, Julie. We'll resume our live coverage of Day 61 of the Olympic Torch Relay in just a few moments. But in other news tonight, a police officer is dead after he was stabbed in his cruiser outside an Ottawa hospital. Here's Sharon Pocious with more on that. Sharon?
The attack appears to be unprovoked, and it's the first time an Ottawa police officer has been killed in the line of duty since the early 1980s. As Jennifer Madigan tells us, there are reports the suspect police have in custody is a former RCMP officer.
The civic campus of the Ottawa Hospital is now a crime scene. Around 4:30 this morning, an Ottawa police officer was stabbed outside the emergency room. 51-year-old Constable Eric Zapnik died of his injuries an hour later.
The tragedy is overwhelming, I have to say, seeing the faces of the officers at the hospital this morning.
Zapnik was at the hospital on an unrelated call. He was in his vehicle, likely writing notes before the man attacked. Police say there was no previous connection between the two and no interaction before the attack. Paramedics on scene restrained the attacker and started working on the officer immediately.
The paramedics were essential to actually apprehending the offender. Without their assistance, I'm not sure what would have happened next.
While the Ottawa police have not confirmed the name of the man they have in custody, a lawyer for former Saskatchewan RCMP officer Kevin Gregson confirms his client is being held by the police in regards to this matter. Gregson used to work for the RCMP headquarters in Regina. In 2006, he was arrested for pulling a knife on a Mormon church official, and he is now on medical leave.
If it is true, certainly it would make it harder. You've got someone from within the community, obviously, that's undertaken this kind of action.
Zapnik joined the forces just 3 years ago. Born in Warsaw, Poland, he immigrated to Canada in 1990. He is a husband and father of 4. He is also the first Ottawa police officer to die in the line of duty since 1983, and members of the force are visibly shaken.
When I was given the news, it was hard to digest, hard to really understand. And then to go to the hospital and see the scene made it worse.
At this point, no charges have been laid, but police say they're confident charges will be filed tonight. In Ottawa, Jennifer Madigan, A News.
The OPP Special Investigations Unit has released the name of the man killed in Barrie over the weekend after a police pursuit. The front end of this minivan and roof were destroyed after it crashed into a parked tractor trailer on Welham Road in Barrie early Saturday morning, killing the driver. He has now been identified as 49-year-old Paul Prolieu. The accident happened after a police pursuit that began just moments before along Highway 400. The SIU investigation is continuing. Collingwood and Blue Mountains OPP have charged a man with fraud after complaints about a person going door to door, posing as a volunteer collecting money for donations. Police say the 22-year-old suspect was claiming to be canvassing for Big Brothers and Sisters, but he is not connected with the organization. High winds and blowing snow made conditions on some roads in the area hazardous this morning. These pictures were taken in the Stainer and Creemore area, where Airport Road was closed last night because of the conditions. OPP were asking drivers to avoid Grey Road 124, Highway 26, and County Road 91 between Duntroon and Minising, and County Road 10 from Wasaga Beach to New Lowell this morning, too. As the day went on, though, conditions improved, but police say motorists still need to watch the weather closely. The Barrie Out of the Cold program kept its doors open a little longer this morning at this church because it was so cold overnight. The program was extended until 8 this morning so that other shelters and drop-in centers could open up to take people in. At 1 o'clock this afternoon, the Salvation Army Bayside Mission opened its warming room to allow anyone with no place to go somewhere to stay warm. And organizers with the Barrie Salvation Army kettle drive are sending out a big thank you to everyone who donated. They surpassed their goal of $400,000. A last-minute check for $50,000 came in on Christmas Eve from a donor in Midhurst. Kettle drive donations now total $467,000. The kettle drive is the biggest fundraiser of the year for the Salvation Army, which is seeing an increase in the number of people needing help. The RCMP were out again today at airports across the country working to help ease the backlog of weary travelers trying to get into the U.S. Ottawa called on the Mounties to help out at airports in Toronto here, Calgary and Edmonton. The Mounties are helping screen passengers now that tougher security measures are in place after the terrorist attempt on a Detroit-bound flight on Christmas Day. Passengers now face pat-downs at security checks as well as restrictions on luggage. Only one carry-on bag per traveler is allowed and all rolling bags must now be checked in. Well, the head of the World Health Organization says it is too early to declare the H1N1 flu pandemic has peaked worldwide, and many more people could become sick with the virus this winter. The swine flu outbreak has peaked in the United States, Canada, and some other countries in the Northern Hemisphere, but Africa and some poor countries in Asia have not seen a surge in the number of swine flu cases. Now, that could be because of poor reporting or because the full outbreak there hasn't happened yet. More than 11,500 people worldwide have died from the disease since the outbreak began in April. Johnson & Johnson's expanding a voluntary recall of Tylenol arthritis caplets after reports of a moldy smell that can cause nausea and diarrhea. The company is recalling all product lots of the arthritis pain caplet 100-count bottles with the red easy open cap. The recall, however, does not affect Canada. The company says the odor results from trace amounts of a chemical and the side effects are temporary. The company will reintroduce the drug in January after moving production to a new facility. Well, if you're filling up with gas soon, here's what gas price watchdog Dan McTague's predicting for tomorrow. Prices are expected to rise ½ a cent at midnight to 97 cents at most stations in the Greater Toronto area. They'll be about 3 cents less than that in the Simcoe County area. And there's one penny that's making a lot of sense. The Canadian coin bearing the image of King George V has already garnered $160,000 U.S. in online bids before an auction in New York City next week. The coin is expected to sell for about $300,000. It was an experimental coin made in 1936. Now here's a look at today's closing market numbers.
Well, the Olympic torch relay is on day 61 of its 106-day journey from coast to coast to coast across Canada as it makes its way to Vancouver for the start of the 2010 Winter Olympic Games on February 12th. Today, the final leg takes it through the city of Barrie. That journey should begin literally in minutes from now. We have reporters all along the route from Esser Road to Lakeshore Drive in Barrie, and to Jackie Crandall's, who's standing by live at City Hall with one of the thousands of fascinating stories of Canadians touching this Olympic moment in Canadian history. Jackie?
Well, you'll have to excuse me if you can't hear me very well. A very excited crowd. Among the crowd, Dan Middlemiss. Dan has come all the way from Halifax to take part in today's celebration. Dan, tell us why you made the journey.
Oh, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. This is my dad's dream come true. 70 years ago, he was training for the Olympics. The war came along, and he can't believe it either. He gets his chance to actually be part of this Olympics. It's a wonderful feeling.
Dan's father, of course, Bob Middlemiss, who will be bringing the torch right up on the stage. That's going to happen in about just under an hour's time. We're going to be here. First, let's look at the forecast to see what it's going to be like when that happens. Looking at the atmospheric composite, it's showing these snow squalls that have been sort of lingering around our area for the last 12 hours or so. They're going to clear out by the morning tomorrow. That's taking a look at the next 12 hours or so. Let's have a look now to see how cold it's going to feel as our low tonight, what people can expect down here at the celebration, dropping down to a low of about -10. We're going to see those isolated lake effect snow flurries continue. For tomorrow, though, things improving drastically. Our high sitting around the freezing mark, a beautiful mix of sun and cloud, and our low -10, but that'll be in the morning. So a great day overall for tomorrow. I'm joined now by Mark Rowe. Mark, you've got a pretty special task today. You're going to be talking with some pretty famous celebrity athletes. Tell us about that.
Jackie, what can you say about this crowd? They have not stopped since the moment we got here. And among this massive crowd are former Olympians, both athletes and coaches. And later in the show, I'll catch up with them as they take in this great experience. Now, still to come in sport, in their pursuit of Canadian junior hockey history, the Barrie Colts take on Kitchener tonight.